Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam review class. Thank you for joining in. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam class. So we are discussing from the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are discussing the wonderful pastime of Prahlad Maharaj and Narasimhadev. How Prahlad Maharaj, we discussed Prahlad Maharaj, he was such a wonderful child, he had all the good qualities, but still, Hiranyakashipu, he was so very uh, angry against Prahlad. And when it was asked by Yudhishthir Maharaj, when it was asked by Yudhishthir Maharaj, why Hiranyakashipu was so very angry with Prahlad? Prahlad was such a gentle child. Then he described the whole history, Narad Muni described the whole history of how Prahlad, although he was such a wonderful child, but because Hiranyakashipu, he was an enemy of Lord Vishnu, he did not like whatever Prahlad was teaching. So we discussed yesterday that Hiranyakashipu, he sent Prahlad to the University of Shandanamarka, the sons of, Shukracharya, to learn all the diplomacy and politics and everything. And when Hiranyakashipu asked him, so Prahlad Maharaj started describing wonderful Krishna conscious philosophy. Sadhu manne survare dehinam sada samudvigna dhiyam sadgrahat hitvatam grihamanda kupam vanam gato yad harimashrayeta. So he told in the beginning only that you go to Vrindavan and take Vanprasthashram. And Hiranyakashipu, he was very angry. In spite of telling repeatedly, Prahlad Maharaj did not change his way of speaking. He continued glorifying devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. So all these things, Prahlad Maharaj, he continued telling to Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu, when he saw that this child, he cannot be, he cannot be taught in a demoniac way. So he told all the soldiers, all the demons, you kill him. And all the demons, they tried so many ways to kill Prahlad by throwing under the feet of elephants and by giving him poison, by striking with tridents and so many ways. But still, he was always protected by Govinda. Govinda Parirambhitaha. And seeing this, Hiranyakashipu, he started thinking, now I shall die. Because he is such a powerful person and I have become inimical towards him, I shall die. But Shandanamarka, they, gave some solace to Hiranyakashipu. Don't worry, we'll teach him, he'll change his thoughts. Again, they took him, Shandanamarka, again they took Prahlad to their Gurukul and started teaching him in diplomacy and politics and dharma, artha, kama, moksha. But Prahlad, in the absence of the teachers, he would call all the other sons of the demons, and he would start addressing them in very sweet voice. Sakshanaya vacha. Sakshanaya means in a very sweet voice. And that's what we discussed till yesterday. So today we'll be discussing the 6th chapter of the 7th canto, which is entitled Prahlad instructs his demoniac schoolmates. So at the end, of the 5th chapter, it was described that Prahlad Maharaj, he was very compassionate and friendly, and he was speaking to all these children. So what did he tell these children? That will be explained in this chapter. And Prahlad Maharaj, he gives a very, very profound philosophy to all these demoniac children. And he says, this Kaumaram Acharet, this first verse is a very, very famous verse. Prabhupada has spoken on this verse many times. Kaumaram Acharet pragya dharman bhagavataniha sudurlabham manusham janma tadapyarthadamadhruvam. Kaumaram Acharet, right from one's childhood, an intelligent person. Pragya means an intelligent person. Dharman bhagavatan iha. He should perform devotional service in this life. Iha. In this life, one should perform devotional service from the age of 5. Because sudurlabham, durlabham manusham janma. This human form of life is very, very rare. And therefore, although this is very rare and it is a very short life, adhruvam means it is not a permanent life. Very short temporary life, but still, this is arthadam. Arthadam means it can give the most valuable gift of devotional service. Some human being can perfect his life by following the principles of devotion. So what is this Kaumara age? 1 to 5 years is called Kaumar. Then 5 to 10 is Paugand. Then 10 to 15 is Kaishor. And 15 above is Yavan. So Prahlad Maharaj is telling to all his friends, oh my friends, you should start practicing devotional service from the age of 5. So why bhakti from Kaumar age? Because somebody may say when somebody in the Yavan age, when you are sufficiently mature, then you should start practicing bhakti. But the point is, nobody knows whether they'll be able to reach the age of Yavan or not. One may die before Yavan. So therefore, Prahlad Maharaj is saying, just start practicing bhakti now. Although human life is so very short, but it is arthadam, it is adhruvam. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the example of Khatwanga Maharaj. Khatwanga Maharaj, he perfected his life in few moments. This comes in the 2nd canto of Bhagavatam, when Parikshit Maharaj, he was hearing from Shukadeva Goswami, and Shukadeva Goswami said that you should hear this Bhagavatam. Parikshit Maharaj thought that hearing Bhagavatam may take long time. I have only 7 days to live. So Shukadeva Goswami says that you have 7 days. Few moments is also enough. Khatwang Maharaj, he perfected his life in few moments. So therefore, this is very short temporary life we have, but in this life we can achieve the perfection of human form. Nrideham adyam sulabham sudurlabham plavam sukalpam gurukarnadharam maya anukulena nabhasvateritam puman bhavabdhim nataret sa atmaha. Nrideha, this human body, it is very, very difficult to obtain. Although we have obtained it very, very easily. None of us, made a decision that we will take birth as a human. We have got this human form. This human form is like a very perfectly made boat in which we can cross this Bhavasagar. Who is the captain of this boat? The spiritual master is the captain of the boat. And when we are sailing in this ocean of Bhavasagar, there are favorable winds. What are those favorable winds? The lessons and the teachings of the scriptures. So we have to take shelter of these favorable winds and perfect our life, cross this ocean of material existence. So therefore, Prabhupada focuses on this word Adhruvam. Adhruvam means a very short life. But in this very short life, we can perfect the human form. And even if somebody performs a very little amount of devotional service, Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahatu bhayat. And then, Prabhupada writes in the purport that modern civilization, they don't even realize that they are so very cruel. How they have become so very cruel? The people of the modern age, you know, even in today's age, mothers, they are killing children in their wombs on the plea of curbing population. And then Prabhupada writes, even if by chance the child is saved, then he is taught how to enjoy life. And then again, be in the cycle of birth and death. So Prabhupada talks about how this whole Krishna conscious philosophy is to make one realize that human form is not for enjoyment. This is for self-realization. How to perform Bhagavad Dharma? The students, all these friends, they may ask, how to perform this Bhagavad Dharma? So Prahlad Maharaj says in the second verse, Yatha hi purushasyeha Vishnu padopa sarpanam yadesha sarva bhutanam priya atmeshwara surit. So he says that one should perform by the methods which enable one to attain the Supreme Lord. And what is that? That is a simple process of devotional service. Every human being should do devotional service. Vishnu padopa sarpanam. We should surrender to the Supreme Lord Vishnu. And this is nothing unnatural. As Prabhupada would say, devotional service is there in everyone's heart. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai. Devotional service is in everyone's heart, and we have to just reawaken that. Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karaye Uday. So that is what Prahlad Maharaj also says. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that in today's age, we are learning so many different types of education. But the goal of all the education is to surrender unto the Supreme Lord. That's why Prabhupada would tell all these modern universities, they are spiritual slaughterhouses. They destroy the propensity of devotional service, spiritual life. And then, the all the friends of Prahlad Maharaj, they ask, but what is the problem with endeavoring for material happiness? You are telling you should not endeavor for material happiness, perfect human form of life by surrendering to God, surrendering to Vishnu. What is the problem with material happiness? Sukham indriyakam daitya dehinam deha yoge na dehinam sarvatra labhyate daivad yatha dukkham mayatnatah. He says, oh my friends, sukham indriyakam, the happiness and satisfaction one gets with this material body, deha yogen, with this material body, the happiness which one tries to get with this senses, sarvatra labhyate, it is available in all species of life. Just like you don't endeavor for distress, but still you get it. Similarly, you will get happiness even if you don't endeavor for it. So therefore, this human form of life, Prabhupada writes, the best utility of human form lies in reviving our relationship with God. That is the best utility of this human form of life. And if we are just wasting our time in all the other things, but not focusing on this devotional service, it is a waste of energy, waste of time, waste of labor. And then he says, therefore, oh my friends, one should not endeavor for material happiness. It will come automatically. Everybody in this world, they are always hankering for material happiness. I want more and more and more happiness. But Prahlad Maharaj very strongly saying in this verse, please don't endeavor for happiness. It will come automatically. Just like nobody endeavors for pain, misery, but still it comes. Similarly, happiness will also come. Tat prayaso na kartavyo yatah ayu vayaparam na vindate yatha shemam na tatha vindate shemam mukunda charanambujam. Tat prayaso na kartavyo. Therefore, oh my friends, please do not endeavor for happiness. Yatah ayu vayah param. If one depletes one's very, very important, precious lifespan in all this pursuit of material happiness, then one will not be able to attain the highest goal. Natatha vindate shemam. Shema will not be obtained. Benefit will not be obtained. What, what is that benefit? Mukunda charanambujam. Mukunda charanambujam will not be obtained, will not obtain the lotus feet of Lord Mukunda. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj says, till the time you are in this material body, a intelligent human being must endeavor for the highest goal of life. In the first canto of Bhagavatam also, the Narad Muni is telling the same thing. He's saying, Tasyeva heto prayateta kovido nalabhyate yad bhramatam tallabhyate dukkhavadanyata sukham kalena sarvatra gabhira ramhasa. Tasyeva heto, the happiness is available everywhere in this world. Misery is also available, therefore one should not endeavor for that. One should endeavor for that which is not available in any of these 14 planetary systems. Nalabhyate yad bhramatam upari adaha. One should endeavor for that thing which is not obtained even after traveling all the 14 planetary systems. What is that? That is the devotional service. Therefore, King Kulakshekar also prays, and that Prahlad Maharaj is saying that as long as the body is strong, one should endeavor only for devotional service. Rest all other things will come. Of course, we will take care of the family, our property, business, everything will be taken care. That is by default we'll have to do. But we should not plan just to take care of all these things and forget our devotional service. Krishna tvadiya pada pankaja panjarantam advaiva me vishati manasaraj hamsa prana prayana samaye kafavata pittai kantavarodhana vidhau smaranam kutaste. Kulakshekar Maharaj is saying, oh my Lord, now I am fit, my body is perfectly all right. Let me die now only. Because at the time of death, what is going to happen? My throat will be choked with cough, vata and pitta. All the elements of the body will be disturbed. Then at that time, how I will remember you, O my Lord? Similarly, Chaitanya Charitamrita also Kaviraj Goswami describes, Paiya manushya janma jena shune gauragun hena janma tara vyartha hoila. Paiya amrita dhuni piye vishwagarta pani janmiya se kene nahi maila. So Kaviraj Goswami is saying, you have got this human form of life. Yena shune gauragun, you are not hearing the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hena janma tara vyartha hoila. Your life is waste. It is as if Paiya amrita dhuni, if somebody gets a river of nectar, and what is drinking? Piye vishwagarta pani, he is drinking the poison from the deep dark well. Janmiya se kene nahi maila. Why did you take birth? You should have died long back. You should have died in the womb of your mother. That's what Kaviraj Goswami says. So therefore, all the scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, describes in very strong words that one should not endeavor for happiness. There should be one thing we should endeavor for, that is to develop our relationship with Krishna. All the other bodily requirements will be taken care of. We should not put our mind and heart and soul in that. Our heart should be for Krishna's lotus feet. Nivritta tarshay rupagiyamana bhavaushadha shrotra manobhirama kaha uttama shloka gunanuvada uman virajyeta vina pashughnat. So 10th canto, Shukdev Goswami is describing, actually Parikshit Maharaj is saying that if we are not endeavoring for developing our connection with Krishna, then we are like an animal. So only an animal will not develop relationship with Krishna. Human beings should endeavor to the best of their capacity to develop their relationship with Krishna. So therefore, after this, Prahlad Maharaj describes the human form of life, how it is misused. He says, oh my friends, the 100 years of human life, they are wasted by one whose senses are uncontrolled. And how does he waste his life? 50 years of life is wasted in sleep. If you consider 12 hours of sleep every day, Then 20 years is wasted in childhood and sporting, and then remaining 20 years, either old age or invalidity, and whatever remaining time is there, it is all utilized in family engagements. Therefore, whole life is wasted without actually fulfilling the purpose of the human form, and nobody takes to the process of devotional service. As it is said, बालस्तावत् क्रीडासक्ता तरुणस्तावत् तरुणीसक्ता वृद्धस्तावत् चिन्तासक्ता परो ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न सक्ता. In childhood, the child is attached to playing. Tarunastavat tarunisakta. When person reaches young, youthful age, he is attached to opposite gender. Vriddhastavat chinta. When persons grow old, so many types of worries which they cannot do anything about. Keep worrying. Pare brahmani kopi na sakta. But all the while in this way the life is gone and they can't remember Krishna. So therefore, whole life is spent in this way, and at the time of death, what happens? The soul is transferred to the next body. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj says, a life of lusty desires and sense gratification is extremely risky. One should not risk the whole life in sense gratification and fulfilling the lusty desires. So Prabhupada writes that, apart from these 50 years and 20 years and 20 years, 90 years are gone. And whatever few more years are remaining, because of too much attachment to the household life, those years are also spent with no purpose. Nobody can take to Krishna consciousness at the fag end of life. As it is said, there is a particular type of smell in the bedroom after marriage. So after 3 months of marriage, bedroom smells like perfume and flowers. After 3 years of marriage, bedroom smells like Ponds and Johnson's baby powder, creams and lotions. And after 30 years, Vicks and Amrutanjan. That's how life is. There is an interesting irony about the life. In the teenage, one has lots of time, lots of energy, no money. When the person is working, lots of money, lots of energy, no time. When person is old, lots of time, lots of money, no energy. That's the irony of life. We cannot enjoy at any moment. We think just I'll enjoy. Nowadays people, they write on their t-shirts, apna time aayega. So somebody sent me a message. जब 18 साल का था तब लगता था अपना टाइम आएगा. 30 साल का हो गया तभी भी लगता था अपना टाइम आएगा. 40 की उम्र हो गई तभी भी उम्मीद बरकरार थी अपना टाइम आएगा. 50 साल का हो गया, अरे बच्चे भी बड़े हो गए, अपना टाइम तो आया ही नहीं. फिर अचानक एक दिन सीने में दर्द हुआ और हॉस्पिटल गए तो डॉक्टर ने बोल दिया, अरे इनका टाइम आ गया है, इनके रिश्तेदारों को बुला दो. That's how life goes. We don't even realize how time is passing by. And therefore, after this, Prahlad Maharaj says, a person who is a householder, materialistic, attached householder, how he is so very entangled. Ko griheshu puman saktam atmanam ajitendriya sneha pashair dridham baddham utsaheta vimochitam. Sneh pash. A person who has uncontrolled senses, ajitendriya, who is uncontrolled, and he is very strongly bound by the ropes of affection. Sneha pashair dridham baddham. He is completely bound by these ropes of affection. And therefore, utsaheta vimochitam, he cannot be liberated from this bondage of material life. Utsaheta vimochitam. Although he is so very enthusiastic, but still he cannot give up the attachment to the all these bodily attachments. So Prabhupada writes, even if one realizes that he should worship Krishna, he is unable to do so. If he has not practiced this in his whole life, at the fag end of life, one will not be able to serve Krishna. So, one time one reporter was asking Prabhupada, Swamiji, why are you giving sannyas to young people? Generally, sannyas is given to old people. Prabhupada said, what does it mean to be old? And this person was confused. And then Prabhupada said, old means one who is about to die. Can you say you will die, I will die before you? You can also die before me. So therefore, who is old? Another reporter asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, why there are only young people in your society? Prabhupada said, what is the age of teaching? What age, we should send a person for education? This reporter said, Swamiji, when one is a child, when one is young. So Prabhupada said, that's why we are teaching all these young people. That is the age of education. So therefore, Prabhupada writes in the purport that training as a brahmachari in the beginning of the life is very, very essential. And then he'll have a very strong foundation if he wants to take to household life. And then Prahlad Maharaj says, in the material life, in the household life, there is so very strong attachment to family that one will not be able to give up the attachment. In the family, money is sweeter than honey. That's what Prahlad Maharaj says. Who can give up the desire for money in this, family life? People, they consider money as more dearer than their own life. And then he says that, people, they desire money to such an extent that they are ready to take any risks. Thieves, professional servants or soldiers and merchants, they go through all sorts of risks just to earn money. Thieves, they are risking their life. They know if they are caught, they'll be put in prison. The soldiers, professional lover, there are no Kshatriyas now, who are really born Kshatriyas. Most of the people, they take to all the defense services. Why? Because they will get money. They'll get so many facilities, risking their life to gain money. And merchants, they also travel a lot, long distance, and go through so many of the difficult situations just to gain money. Arthasya sadhane siddhe utkarshe rakshane vaye nashopabhog ayashas trasas chinta brahmo nirnam. So it is described in the 11th canto that in all types of things related to money, stress and anxiety is, coming free. Arthasya sadhane, when you want to attain money, utkarsha, if you want to increase it, rakshane, if you want to protect it, vay, even if you want to spend money, nash, upabhog, if you want to enjoy, what will come? Intense labor, ayasha, trasa, misery, chinta, anxiety, and brahma, confusion. All these things are going to come. So therefore, Prahlad is saying, who can give up the attachment of family life? Who can give up the attachment for money? And then he describes, the very, very strong, insatiable family attachments. Very interesting that Prahlad Maharaj, being a small child, 5 years old boy, he is speaking such a strong philosophy about household life. Katham priyaya anukampitaya sangam rahasyam ruchiram shamantran suhritsu tatsnehasita shishunam kalaksharanam anurakta chittaha. So he says, Katham priyaya, who can give up, the attachment with wife? Wife is so very kind and sympathetic. She pleases the husband in a solitary place. She is expert. Prabhupada writes how wife satisfies the belly and genitals. Who can give up the association of wife? Sangam rahasyam ruchiram chamantran. The wife speaks very sweet words in a solitary place and husband becomes completely attached to it. And then by the association, what comes out? Children are born. Suritsu tatsnehasita shishunam. Children are born, and then kalaksharanam anurakta chitta. The greatest joy for a householder is when he hears the sweet broken language of the children. So very pleasing to hear. Who can give up this attachment? And then what happens? Putran sparamsta duhitra chintaya bhratri swasrirva pitarau cha dino grihan manogyo ruparichadamsha vrittascha kulya pashupritya vargan. Then he remembers his sons, putran smaram duhitra chintaya. He remembers his daughter, although she is married. He is always concerned about her welfare. Bhratri, he remembers his brother, his sister, Pitaraucha Dino, then he remembers his old parents. And then he is constantly in anxiety, how I will take care of them. Grihan manogyo ruparichadamscha. And then he remembers and thinks about all the things which are related to the family. Vrityascha kulya pashubhritya vargan. He takes care of all the household furniture, domestic animals. In our context, these are vehicles. He remembers, he takes care of the servants so that they are properly situated, so they'll give me more comfort. In this way, one is totally bound. And how a householder is totally bound? He gives the example. Tijeta kosha kridiveha mana karmani lobhat avittripta kamaha aupastha jahivam bahumanyamana katham virajyeta duranta moha. Just like a silkworm weaves a cocoon around itself and becomes trapped inside, cannot come out. Similarly, a householder who is so very attached to the family, children, wife, relatives, and things which are related to the body and the family, they are karmani lobhat avitripta kamaha. His desire to enjoy is insatiable. And how does he become attached? Aupastha jahivam. Because these things, belly and genitals, they are the foremost of the things in life. Katham virajyet duranta moha. How one can give up such intense attachment? Not so easy. He's not able to give the attachment to these things. Just like a foolish householder who is completely overcome by the lust, full of insatiable desires. He dies like that, just like a silkworm. He dies inside the cocoon which it itself makes. Prabhupada mentions very strong purport here how family life, if it's not centered around Krishna, that is a shackle. Yanmaithunadigriham sukham hitucham. That is a shackle which binds a person. And other place also Bhagavatam describes Yavat. He says that if in the family life, if one is not keeping Krishna in the center, that family life is like a karagraha. And all the attachments which he has, those are like the shackles. Yavan Krishnan Dejana. Yavan Mohongri Nigado Yavan Krishna Tejana. And then, Chakravarti Thakur writes in this that just as a silkworm makes its cocoon without making a door to get out, silkworm forgets to make a door. Similarly, a householder enters a family life, forgets to make a door to come out. That is the door of Krishna consciousness. If we realize the importance of human form of life, then we can come out of it also. Just like we discussed in the 5th canto about Priyavrat Maharaj. Priyavrat Maharaj, he was so very powerful sage, but he entered family life. Parikshit Maharaj, he was bewildered. How can Priyavrat, even after engaging in family life, did not become attached to it? So Shukdev Goswami there says, that bhayam pramattasya vaneshu api syad, yatas aste sat sapatnaha jitendriyasya atmarate budhasya grihashramam kimnu karoti avadyam. He says, even if somebody leaves his family and goes to the forest, he does not go alone. He goes with 6 wives, mind and 5 senses. But Jitendriya, Atmarati and Buddha, those who are sense controlled, those who are satisfied with whatever is needed for their body and the things which are related to the body, and intelligent, Buddhasya, Jitendriya, Atmarati and Buddha. Grihashramam kimnu karoti, what harm household life will do. So therefore a devotee is not so much troubled in the household life because he knows that I have made Krishna as the center of my life. Devotee is never bound. And then he says, a person, when he is so very absorbed in the family life, this absorption, it leads to exhaustion of lifespan. Life is gone. And then the real purpose of human form of life is defeated. One cannot control his senses, his desires remain unfulfilled, and in this way he keeps struggling in this material existence. And then he says, this material life is so very powerful that even a learned man, they can also be overcome by ignorance if they are not careful. If a learned man is also not careful, just like Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, even if one of the senses are allowed to wander, it can drown the boat. It can attract the human mind, just like a boat which is in the ocean, which can be drowned easily by the gush of wind. So therefore, all our senses should be very strongly protected from sense objects. And Prabhupada in the purport describes who is a real knowledgeable person. Real knowledgeable person, real Vidwan is one who tries to understand the importance of human form. He asks question about the life. Keami, Keneamar, Jarita Patre. Who am I? Why I am suffering in this world? And then he says, Prahlad Maharaj is saying, actually, if somebody is not having this knowledge of Lord Vishnu, he cannot get liberation. There is only one way to attain liberation in life, that is to surrender to the Supreme Lord. And those people who are addicted to sense gratification, all these demoniac people, they become playthings in the hands of women. Krida Mriga. They become attached to the shackles of family life. Balam me maya pashya stri maya jayano disham yah karoti padakrantan bhruvi jambhena kevalam. Kapila Devi is telling to Mother Devahuti, just see the power of the illusory energy of the Lord in the form of a woman. Balam me maya pashya stri maya jayano disham. Even great conquerors, when they enter their palaces, they become like you know dolls in the hands of their wives. That's how we have to be very, very careful, that in the family life we have to make sure that Krishna is there in the center. And then he says, Prahlad Maharaj gives the solution. He says, therefore, you are sons of demons, I know, but two things you have to do in life. Keep aloof from the association of the demons and take shelter of Lord Narayan. Because Lord Narayan can only free one from the bondage of birth and death. And then he gives instructions of worshipping the Supreme Lord. He says, pleasing the Supreme Lord does not take a great endeavor. Nahi achyuta prinayato bahu ashayo suratmajaha atmot sarvabhutanam siddhatvat iha sarvataha. He says there is no difficult thing. It is not so difficult to please Krishna. So don't be concerned. Will we be able to do it? It is not so difficult. Even a small thing which you are doing on the path of bhakti is a permanent gain. Don't worry about it. Even if you do a slight endeavor, it will be your permanent gain. Your attempts will be successful. Don't worry about it. So therefore, he's saying that Supreme Lord is present everywhere. He is the supreme infallible Lord. He is Achyuta. He is present everywhere. So don't worry, will you be able to find Lord or not? He is everywhere. He is all pervading. He is Satchidanand. And therefore, we should try to please that Supreme Lord by performing devotional service. And the beginning of devotional service is to serve other living entities. Tasmat sarveshu bhuteshu dayam kurute sauridam bhavam asuram unmuchya yaya tushyatya dhukshajaha. So if you show compassion to all the living entity in general, tushyati adhokshajaha. Supreme Lord Adhokshaja becomes very, very pleased. And therefore, if you serve the Supreme Lord, please the Supreme Lord, nothing will remain unattainable for you. Devotees of the Lord, they do not desire anything else but to please the Lord. As it is described, Very beautiful verse. Parijate anjasa labdhe sarango anyanna sevate twadangri mulama sadhya sakshat kim kim vrinimahi. Just like a bumblebee, after reaching a Parijat tree has flowers throughout the year. After reaching Parijat tree, bumblebee does not want to go anywhere else. Twadangri mulama sadhya sakshat kim kim vrinimahi. So after attaining the lotus feet of Lord, what is remaining to be obtained? There is nothing remaining to obtain after worshipping the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord is a desire fulfilling tree. You know, his lotus feet is Ichhapidhanam, fulfills all the desires. So hearing all this, and the friends, the sons of all the demoniac sons, the friends of Prahlad, they may ask, okay, you are telling that dharma, artha, kama, moksha, they are not the goal of life. Then why, our teachers, Shanda and Amarka, they are teaching us dharma, artha, and kam? Prahlad Maharaj says, see, I do not want to criticize them, but whatever I am saying, this is recommended by the great teachers. There is only one thing which you have to do: surrender to the lotus feet of the Lord Vishnu. That is the ultimate goal of human form of life. And all the other processes which these your teachers are recommending, they are external and they are material. And to give more faith to all these sons of demons, Prahlad Maharaj describes from where I have learned this knowledge. He says that Lord Narayan gave this knowledge to Narad Muni, and Narad Muni, he gave this knowledge to me. I received this knowledge from Narad Muni. So when all the sons, all the friends of Prahlad, they hear this, they become confused. They say, Prahlad, we have only Shanda and Amarka as our teachers. We are dependent on them, and especially you always live within palace. Then how come you heard from Narad Muni? When did you hear? So that is a question which all these, his classmates, they ask. So now this 7th chapter, Prahlad Maharaj describes. He dissipates the doubts of his class friends, and he describes that, that actually, first of all, Prahlad remembered the words of Narad Muni. And Prabhupada writes there, one cannot imagine how the baby in the embryo could hear Narad Muni. But this is the spiritual life. Progress in spiritual life does not depend on anything external. Bhakti is ahetuki and apratihata. It cannot be interrupted by anything material in this world. So, Prahlad Maharaj, he remembered the words of Narad Muni and he started replying. He said that, when my father Hiranyakashipu, he went to Mandar mountain to do severe tapasya, the demons headed by, the demigods headed by Indra, they thought, now Hiranyakashipu has gone to do tapasya and he is actually eaten, his body is eaten by ants. He is now defeated by his own sinful reactions. Just as a serpent is eaten by small ants, this Hiranyakashipu is defeated by his own sinful activities. So seeing, all the situation, all the devatas, they very strongly, fiercely attacked the demons. And the demons, when they saw this situation, they left their family, children, everything, and they ran away. They left all their relatives and they fled themselves to protect their lives. So now Indra and all the devatas, they attacked the palace of Hiranyakashipu. They destroyed everything. They plundered the entire palace. As you can see in this picture, one of the demigod is, collecting all the jewels and everything. And then Indra, so Prahlad Maharaj is saying, he arrested my mother Kayadhu. And as she was being carried away, she was crying very bitterly like a kurari bird, which was captured by vulture. And as she was being carried away, she was crying, hearing the cries of my mother. Narad Muni appeared there. And Narad Muni stopped Indra and he said, Indra, why are you doing it? This woman is sinless. She is a chaste wife of Hiranyakashipu. Why are you, dragging her in this cruel way? Please release her immediately. So when Indra, he heard this, he told his plan. He says, "Oh Narad Muni, this Kayadhu, this wife of Hiranyakashipu, she is carrying the seed of Hiranyakashipu. And we are not going to kill her, don't worry, but let her remain in our custody till the time she does not give birth. After she gives birth to the child, we'll release her." So Indra's plan was, after the child is born, he will kill that child, and then he'll release that queen Kayadhu. So Narad Muni, when he heard all this, he told something about the child. Ayam nishkilbisha sakshan mahabhagavato mahan tvaya na prapsyate samstham ananta anucharo bali. He says, "Oh Indra, Ayam Bala, this child who is there in the womb of this Kayadhu, Niskilbishaha. He is a sinless person. He is sinless child. And actually, he is Mahabhagavata. He is the greatest of the devotees of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, even if you try, you will not be able to kill him. Tvaya na prapsyate samstham. You will not be able to kill this child because Ananta Anucharo Bali, he is a very, very powerful servant of Lord Vishnu." So Prabhupada writes that, this is a promise of the Lord. Lord has taken the vow, Kaunteya Pratijanihi Name Bhakta Pranashyati. This should be our faith. That is one of the symptoms of our devotee. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna iti Vishwaso. He has faith. Krishna will protect me in all circumstances. When situations are not in our hand, when things go wrong, then we should always know that Krishna is there. His plan is the ultimate plan. He knows the best way, how we can come close to him. So we should never doubt the protection of Krishna. Tasman masharanam goshtam mannatam mat parigraham gopaya swatma yogena soyam me vratahitah. So in Govardhan Leela, when all the Brajvasis, they approach Krishna and they are pleading, "Oh Krishna, just see now what has happened. You gave us instructions to do this Govardhan Puja and now see Indra has become angry. Please protect us." So Krishna is thinking, "Tasman Masharanam Goshtam." These people, they have taken my shelter. Mat Sharanam Mannatham. They have made me as their master. Mat Parigraham. Actually, they are my family members. Gopai Swatma Yogena. Therefore, I will protect them by my own mystic power. Why? So I am me vrata ahita. I have taken a vow to protect my devotees. So therefore, Prabhupada is stressing on this word that Lord Vishnu will never allow his devotees to be killed. And when demigods, they heard this, very interestingly, they actually accepted the words of Narad Muni. And Prabhupada writes, this is called obedience to parampara. So all the Devatas, they accepted the words of Narad Muni. They released my mother, as Prahlad Maharaj is telling. They released my mother and actually circumambulated her. Why the demigods circumambulated Kayadhu? Because they wanted to offer respects to the devotee who was there in the womb of Kayadhu. So Prabhupada writes, this is called parampara. Narad Muni was a genuine bona fide representative of Lord. So therefore all the Devatas, they had full faith in the words of Narad Muni. And then after this, Narad Muni, he brought Kayadhu, mother of Prahlad, to his ashram, and he assured her of all the protection. He told Kayadhu, "My dear child, please remain at my ashram until your husband comes back." And therefore, Prahlad Maharaj is saying, my mother stayed under the shelter of Narad Muni without any fear. And actually, she desired to give birth to her child after the return of her husband. So, Kayadu did not give birth to Prahlad till the time Hiranyakashipu was doing tapasya. And Prabhupada writes a very important purport here. And actually it is also described that this Kayadhu, she was humbly serving Narad Muni. As you can see in this picture, she has some garland which she is making. So, Prahlad Maharaj is describing that at the ashram of Narad Muni, my mother served Narad Muni with great devotion and in a humble menial way. So Prabhupada quotes this verse from 9th Canto Bhagavata, Matra swasra duhitra va na vivikta sano bhavet balwan indriya gramam vidvamsam apichakarshati. One should not stay in a secluded place even with his mother, daughter or sister. Balwan indriya gramam vidvamsam apichakarshati, because senses are so very powerful and strong. Even great personalities, great intelligent personality can also get bewildered. So somebody may ask, then why Narad Muni is, keeping a young woman, Kayadhu, she was a young mother. So how can Kayadhu serve Narad Muni? So Prabhupada clarifies this situation. He writes that nonetheless, one should be very, very strict in association with the women. One should not be in association of women, unless and until it is required for some service. Narad Muni gave shelter to, Prahlad Maharaj's young mother, and she also rendered service to Narad Muni with great faith. Does this mean that Narad Muni transgressed the Vedic culture? No. Prabhupada writes that such injunctions are meant for mundane material creatures. Narad Muni is not a mundane creature. He is a supremely transcendental personality. He does not have a material body, material mind. He is transcendentally situated. So all these material things, they do not affect Narad Muni. And then Prabhupada quotes this example of Haridas Thakur also, how he transformed a prostitute and made into a pure devotee. Prasiddha Vaishnavi hoila parama mahanti bada bada Vaishnavatar darshane te yanti. She became such a great Vaishnavi that great devotees were coming to take her darshan. So Prabhupada writes there, they are not ordinary people. Ordinary devotees should not imitate the great personalities. And then one more thing Prabhupada focuses on. He says that, Kayadhu, she was living in the ashram of Narad Muni without any fear. Similarly, Narad Muni, because of his transcendental position, stayed with a young woman without fear of deviation. His mind was not deviated. And then Prahlad Maharaj describes that, when my mother was staying at the ashram of Narad Muni very mercifully instructed both my mother and myself. He instructed us on the principles of religion and transcendental knowledge. This knowledge was free from all the material contamination. Vishikarunika tasya pradad ubhayam ishwaram dharmasya tattvam jnanam cha mamaptuddishya nirmalam. He taught us the dharmasya tattva jnana. He described the process of transcendental knowledge, which is nirmalam, which is very, very pure. Now, the schoolmates of Prahlad, they may ask, okay, we understand that you heard from Narad Muni, you became devotee, but why don't we see bhakti in your mother? She also heard. Why she did not become a devotee and how you became devotee? So Prahlad Maharaj says, my mother, because she was in so much of anxiety, she was just anxious to protect her child. So she could not hear the instructions properly. She could not focus on the instructions properly. So therefore she forgot the instructions which was given by Narad Muni. Because long time passed, she was so very anxious to meet her husband. Long time passed, and therefore she forgot all the instructions. But I did not forget. I remembered all the instructions. So therefore he says that if you put faith in my words, He's saying to all his friends, if you put faith in my words, you can also understand spiritual knowledge. And just like I understood, you can also understand. Although you are the sons of a demon, although you are children, but still you can understand. Even a woman can also understand. So that's what, Prahlad is saying. So Prabhupada writes, these words of Prahlad is very, very important. This is the 17th verse. So he's saying these words of Prahlad, they are very, very important because they are coming in disciplic succession. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying that, I heard from Narad Muni and I am giving this knowledge to you. So if you hear my words, you will also become a liberated soul. So therefore, only if a devotee wants, then we can get devotional service. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. And then Prabhupada writes that Prahlad Maharaj, he offers his blessings to his class friends, saying that also become faithful like me. Become bona fide Vaishnavas. That is a mood of a devotee. He wants to make everybody Krishna conscious. And then Prahlad describes the knowledge of spirit soul and knowledge of transmigration to all the classmates. So first of all, in 6 verses, it describes the nature of the spirit soul, how the soul does not undergo any change, just like Bhagavad Gita. The 2nd chapter describes the qualities of the soul. Soul does not die, cannot be killed, cannot be cut. Na jayate, mriyate. The same qualities are described here also by Prahlad Maharaj. That soul is eternal, pure, without any contamination, and all these things he describes. And then he says, so after hearing all this, the friends may ask, okay, so if the soul is all pervading, he is the self-illuminated knower of the body, but who can know the soul? So Prahlad Maharaj says in the 21st verse, just like an expert geologist, he knows the art of extracting gold from the gold ore. Similarly, a spiritually advanced person, Atmavit or Adhyatmavit, he can attain perfection in this knowledge of Krishna consciousness. He knows how to see the super soul and how to see the soul. But one who is in animalistic conception of life, he cannot see the soul. He is and as this conception, this philosophy is very strongly described in many places in Bhagavatam and all the scriptures. If somebody does not take advantage of human form of life and is just engaging his life, wasting his life in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending all the animalistic propensities, he will never come to the understanding of Krishna consciousness. Ko nama loke purushartha saravit pura kathanam bhagavat katha sudham apiya karnanjalibhir bhavapaham aho virajyet vina naretaram. Konam loke, who is that person who, if he is a seeker of essence, how can he give up service unto the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu? And these devotees of the Lord, they are so very eager. They drink this nectar of Harikatha. Apiya karna anjalibhir bhavapaham. They relish. Apiya means they relish. They relish this Krishna Katha through their ears. Just generally, we taste through our tongue. But this Krishna Katha has to be relished through the ears. If somebody does not relish this Krishna Katha, he is no better than an animal. Asuryanam te loka andhena tamsavrita tamste pritya vigachanti eke chatma hanojana. Ishopanishad describes. If somebody is not understanding the spiritual importance of spiritual life, he is like an animal. He is a killer of the soul. And then he describes, what is that spiritual nature? He says, the soul resides in the body as an observer within the 8 energies, 3 modes, and 16 transformations. So what are these 8 energies? 8 energy means the 8 elements. Bhumi, Apo, Analo, Vayu, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. 3 modes, mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And 16 transformation means the 16 elements, 11 senses, and 5 gross elements. And then he says, oh, my friends, there are two types of body one has. This philosophy, all this philosophy I've heard many times. There are two types of body: gross body, which we can see; subtle body, which is made up of mind, intelligence, and ego, which we cannot see. A person who is sober person must search for the soul through the purified mind. And therefore, Prabhupada here describes a very common, very popular, famous analogy. How to understand that we are not this body, we are soul. He says, we say I head. We don't say my. We don't say I head. We say my head. That means we are something different from our head. So that is the normal logic he gives. And then he says, Prahlad Maharaj says, you have to destroy this material intelligence. This intelligence stays in various phases. Sometimes it is very active, sometimes it is dreaming, sometimes it is in deep sleep. Jagrati, Swapna, and Sushupti. One can understand the pure soul, by this process of rejecting all the material elements and taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. And in this way, he describes that one has to destroy this material intelligence. And when this material intelligence is destroyed, then one can actually realize the Supreme Lord, realize the soul, realize the super soul. And when this material intelligence is destroyed, this all the desire for sense enjoyment will also be destroyed. Just like the Rup Goswami also describes aprarabdha phalam papam kutam bijam phalonmukham krameneva praliyate Vishnu bhakti ratatmana. When one takes to the process of devotional service, all the sinful reactions also get destroyed. And therefore, ultimately, Prahlad instructs all the demons, all the sons of the demons, in the process of devotional service. Tatropaya sahasranam ayam bhagavatoditah yadishware bhagavati yatha yairanjasarati. So he says, out of many thousands of the processes of getting out of this material world, ayam bhagavatodita, this process of devotional service is the best. Yad ishware bhagavati yatha yair anjasarati. So this process of devotional service is the best of all the processes. Anjasa, very easily one can cross this ocean. As Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, Anna cheta satatam yomam smarati nityashah tasyaham sulabha partha. Whoever focuses his mind on me, for him it is very, very easy to attain the perfection of human form. So therefore, Prahlad Maharaj is also saying, there are so many processes to attain perfection. This process of bhakti is the easiest. As Prabhupada would say many times, this is the easiest of all the paths. But we should know, this is easy, bhakti is easy but not simple. This may look easy, but actually, Prabhupada writes, this is not so easy. Because we have to do the same thing again and again. Many times Prabhupada would say it is easy, but many times he would say it is not so easy also. He would say many times bhakti is simple but not easy. Why simple? Just because we have to do just simple thing of chanting, following 4 regulative principles, take prasad, be with devotees, but it is not easy because you have to do it every day. So then Prahlad Maharaj says that how to render devotional service? He describes the various aspects of bhakti. One has to start a devotional service by offering respects to the spiritual master and serving him. And after that, offer all the possessions to the spiritual master. Sangena sadhu bhaktanam, associate with the devotees of the Lord. Ishwar aradhanena, worshipping that Supreme Lord. Then one has to faithfully hear the pastimes of the Lord, Shraddhaya, Tat Kathaya cha, then Kirtanair, chant the glories of the Lord, glorify the Lord, meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord. In this way, he describes the whole list of the various limbs of devotional service. And Prabhupada in the purport, he focuses on the first principle of surrendering to Guru. Adav Guru Padashray. Bhakti starts with surrendering to the spiritual master. And there Prabhupada writes how a devotee, a disciple should surrender to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and serve him like a menial servant. Brahmachari Guru Kule Vasandante Guru Hitam. And then Prahlad Maharaj says, what is the result of such devotional activities? There are two types of result. Secondary result is all the influence of lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, it will be destroyed. If that is a secondary reason, then what is the primary result? Primary result is one attains the lotus feet of the Lord. One attains rati, the attraction for the loving devotional service of the Lord. And what are those? What is that rati? So then Prahlad Maharaj describes the symptoms of rati in 34th and 35th verses. What are the various symptoms of bhava? A devotee who is at the level of rati, whenever he hears the beautiful transcendental pastimes of Lord, his throat becomes choked up. He starts crying. Sometimes he starts dancing, shouting, singing, as if he is haunted by ghosts. Prahlad Maharaj is himself experiencing all these symptoms. We discussed, in earlier classes, how he himself experiences all these symptoms. Nasta kirina kabala jadvattan manastaya Krishna graha grihitatma naved jagadidrisham. He did not realize how the world is going, how the world is functioning, because he was always absorbed in the meditation on Krishna. Just like a person who is haunted by the ghost, he looked like a dull person. So therefore he's saying, what are the symptoms of a person at the level of bhava? And such a person, by constant thinking about the Lord, all his material desires are burnt. Bhakti destroys all the material contaminations. In many places, bhakti is described, compared to a digestive fire. Why digestive fire? Because digestive fire has some specific characteristics. When somebody eats, the digestive fire does not destroy the nutrients. It destroys just the, useless parts and converts into excreta. Similarly, bhakti destroys all the contaminations and nourishes the devotional sentiments. Bhakti, digestive fire takes time to digest. Similarly, devotional service also takes time to destroy all the contaminations and manifest devotional sentiments. Thirdly, one does not have to do anything extra to digest food. And after eating, one does not have to do any other gymnastics. It is done automatically. Similarly, bhakti purifies automatically. One does not have to do anything extra. And then he says, when somebody develops direct connection with the Supreme Lord, then the samsara is destroyed. One becomes free from the cycle of birth and death. So therefore, oh my friends, worshipping the Lord is so very easy. He is there in everyone's heart. So therefore, why you are endeavoring for any other things? Just render devotional service. So after emphasizing the glories of devotional service, now Prahlad Maharaj will describe about the uselessness of the material endeavors. He says that, in the material life, one endeavors for so many things, but one's riches, beautiful wife, friends, and all the other things which are related, residence, animals, horses, treasury, all the economic development, everything, they will not help him in this life. They are very, very temporary. So therefore, why you are endeavoring for all these things? All these gains are very temporary. There is nothing eternal about it. Because in due course of time, this body is going to be converted into either stool or worms or ashes. When body is burnt after the person dies, the body is converted into ashes. If the jackals or dogs or animals, they eat the body becomes stool. If the body is just thrown away, then all the insects they start eating and the insects they grow. So what is the use of maintaining this body and all the relationship with the body? One should not even endeavor for heaven, because heaven is also temporary. Shine punyamartha lokam vishanti. So therefore, oh my friends, worship the Supreme Lord with all the devotion. Somebody may ask, okay, the friends may ask Prahlad, you are saying that devotional service is the supreme, but materialists, they are also happy sometimes. So Prahlad says, yes, the happiness which they get is very, very temporary, and they become so frustrated in the pursuit of happiness that they give up their desire for enjoyment after some time, and then they get actual happiness. So therefore, Prahlad Maharaj says, one should not seek comfort within this body, oh my friends. Everything, all the happiness which you are getting with this body, it is a very, very temporary thing. Kamayate kamayiryat artham iha purushah savay dehastu parakyo bhanguro yatyopahiticha. This body is very, very, transient, perishable body. Please don't endeavor to keep this body fit. Please don't endeavor to enjoy with this body. You have to only endeavor for one thing. Just endeavor for devotional service. And then he describes that, oh my friends, just depend on the Supreme Lord with devotion. Supreme Lord is the super soul in everyone's heart. The most auspicious condition of human form of life is to surrender to the Supreme Lord Mukunda, Mukunda Charanambujam. And then he says very interesting verse. He says, oh my friends, Supreme Lord is pleased only by devotion. Nalam dujatvam devatvam rishitvam vasuratmajaha prinayayam kundasya navritti na bahugyata nadanam naptapo nejya na shaucham na vratani cha priyate amala bhakta hariranyad vidambanam. He says, one cannot please the Lord by dvijatvam, by Brahminical power, by being devatas, by being a rishi, by giving charity, by austerities, by worshipping, by maintaining all the cleanliness principles, by following all the vows. All these things do not please Krishna. Then what pleases Krishna? Prinayaya Mukunda. If you want to please Krishna, Pritye Amalaya Bhaktya. Supreme Lord is pleased only by devotion, nothing else. He is the Bhavagrahi Janardana. He accepts the devotion which is there in the heart of devotee. So therefore, please take to bhakti to satisfy that Supreme Lord. This bhakti is not depending on any other external things, anybody in any condition of life. Even if somebody is a yaksha, rakshasa, shudra, cowherd man, birds, animals, sinful living entities, anybody can take to the process of devotional service. Kirat, Hunandra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana, Kasadaya, Yanya cha papa yadapa shraya shraya shuddhanti tasmai prabha vishnave namaha. Anybody can get purified, however fallen they may be. Vyadhasya charanam dhruvasya chavayo vidya gajendrasya ka kubjaya kimunam arupa adhikam kim tat sudamno dhanam vamshasko vidurasya yadav pate ugrasya kim paurusham bhaktya tushyati kevalam nachagunai bhakti priyo madhava. Krishna is pleased only by devotion, not by, high birth, not by the knowledge, not by wealth, not by Brahminical power, not by any high caste. He is pleased only by devotion. So therefore he says in the end of this chapter, the ultimate goal of life, as explained in all the scriptures, is to serve the lotus feet of Lord Govinda and to see him everywhere. Etavane lokesmin pumsa swartha parasmritaha ekanta bhaktir govinde yat sarvatra tadikshanam. So these are the instructions of Prahlad to all his classmates. So this is the end of the 7th chapter. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So anybody has any questions, you can please ask. So there is a question which has come. All the wealth, wife, home, etc. does not come to any help rather than bhakti, which is the only thing which helps us. However, we see in our daily act that so many devotees performing bhakti for last 30 years, but still thereafter so many of the material needs. See, therefore, we have to be very uh, uh, clear about this understanding that when our external needs are taken care of, then we can perform bhakti very nicely. We are not like Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur, one time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him that, Srivas, whole day you are with me chanting, and whole night also you are with me doing kirtan. How are you maintaining your family? So Srivas, he just clapped 3 times. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he did not understand. So Srivas Thakur, he asked Srivas, what does that mean? So Srivas said, Oh Mahaprabhu, I have this firm conviction that if I need something and if I clap 3 times and that thing does not come in front of me, I will tie a stone in my neck and jump in Ganga. That was the conviction of Srivas Thakur. So we have to practice devotional service according to our conviction, according to the level we are in, according to the faith we have. We cannot artificially jump to the level of pure devotional service. We have to understand where we are and act accordingly. Otherwise, if we try to imitate pure devotees, we'll get frustrated. We may end up giving up this process of Krishna consciousness. So just like a small child, if he is fed with rabdi, condensed milk, he will not be able to digest it. He will get indigestion. Similarly, we cannot imitate pure devotees or we'll get frustrated. We'll not be able to digest it. So therefore, we have to understand our level and act accordingly. If we need some material benefits, okay, we can pray to the Lord, please give me that. At the same time, we have to balance this principle of atyahar and prayas. That's why we have to be always under the supervision of some senior Vaishnavas who keep guiding us, who keep instructing us, so that we don't fall under the trap of this atyahar and prayas. At the same time, we should not neglect our basic requirements of life, and we should not try to follow devotional service from a level where we are not. We have to understand our level and practice bhakti accordingly. So that is what will keep us happy in life. One devotee was saying that when we go in front of the deities, when we come in front of Radha Gopinath or and Prabhupada, we should pray whatever we need it. Whatever we need, we should pray. If we are thinking, no, I need a car, I need a house, and I am desperately in need of it, okay, we can pray for it. At the end of the prayer, we should also add this, oh my Lord, I don't know what to pray. I am so very overcome by my conditionings. That's why I'm asking for this thing. Please give me your mercy so that I can one day ask what I am supposed to ask. So that is how we have to understand. We cannot imitate pure devotees, and we have to always be under the association and guidance of some senior Vaishnavas so that we don't go to the extremes. That is the art of Krishna consciousness, art of balancing our material and spiritual life, so that one day our spiritual and material life should become one. Many times we have this conception, oh, this is my physical material life and this is my spiritual life. So this is the art. We have to learn how to harmonize our spiritual and material worlds. So that will come over the period of time by experience and by practicing with a sincere heart. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. Krishna will give the intelligence. Whoever renders service with faith and determination, Krishna gives the intelligence to them. So that is the understanding.
Haribol, Prabhu, thank you
Yes,
very much, Prabhu. Actually, I wanted to ask you a full question, but I could not write everything because when I write, I do not listen to you, and I don't want to miss. So, what my question was, what you said is all right, but then what my end question, last question, I have sent it to you. But then what I wanted to ask you, how do we understand when somebody is acting like this? Like I know so many people, they are in devotional practice for so many years, but still they are after every day they want new things. They have 3 houses, but they want one more. They have 4 houses, but they want one more. This is just an example. So when we see that, how do we act, or how do we understand so that we don't, fall prey to Maya? We don't make
there
apras.
are two things in
That's
that. Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. I understood your question. So there are two things. So first of all, when we see various devotees who are still having so many desires, so first basic understanding we should have is different people, they are at their different level of consciousness. Not everybody is an advanced devotee or a pure devotee, and that is not our point of discussion. We should not even think about. Even before thinking like that, we should think, you know can I do anything about it, or you know is this my anything to do with me? If not, we should not even think about these things. That is between that devotee and Krishna. So greatest tapasya being with devotee is to keep our mind and mouth shut when that is not our business. Although it is so very difficult, when we see devotees, our natural propensities, we start judging them. But we should, before judging them, we should try to question ourselves, is it required to judge these persons, these devotees? If not, then we should just leave their Krishna consciousness, and that is between them and Krishna. We should not even think about these devotees. If we are nowhere in picture, we should not even think about them. And if we are genuinely concerned about them, if we are thinking that no, actually these devotees are going away from Krishna consciousness and I need to do something about them, so then we can, there are two ways. First of all, we think we should know that we should ask question to ourselves, am I the right person to correct them? If yes, then we can go ahead and tell them in a very genuine, humble way. If not, then we should try to go to some superior devotee who can correct them. So in both cases, we are nowhere to judge anyone. And as far as personal application is concerned, we should try to take guidance always from senior devotees. If some thought comes in the mind, okay, I think I need to buy this one more house or one more phone. So, and if you think, I don't know whether it is right or wrong, so better ask some superior person, and you'll always find one who is superior to you. Or that is that the case, no koi hai nahi upar, kisko puchu main, so that will never be the case. So therefore these are two things we have to always consider. First, am I the right person to judge that devotee? And if yes, go ahead and correct it. That should be a constructive criticism, not a destructive criticism. Otherwise we'll fall prey to Vaishnava prad. That devotee may be doing that thing, that devotee may be having this propensity, that conditioning, but there may be some reason for it. We don't know what is going on in the mind of that devotee. Vaishnavira kriya mudra vigyana bhuchai. So we are no one to judge anybody. First of all, we have to understand, okay, he may have some thought process, he's doing it. We are nowhere to judge, no one to judge. And personally, we should be always taking guidance from the superior devotees. That's how we'll be safe in our Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, but the problem is when we are with so many devotees who are at their different levels of consciousness, we end up judging them. And that devotee may get purified of their that anartha, he may progress. But because of our judgmental mentality, our offensive mentality, we may lose the taste for bhakti. So first thing is, if it has nothing to do with me, that is between that devotee and Krishna. So we should not even think about it. And as far as we are concerned, okay, please take guidance from superior Vaishnavas. So that is, my understanding about it. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu. So
Hare.
can I, Prabhu, just the ending part, can I say that it's my own a problem, in the sense it's my own, I am lacking somewhere in understanding, and I should correct myself first before judging others.
See, everybody of us, we are in the process of transforming our consciousness and becoming purified of our anarthas. So yes, of course, as it is always said, the world is a mirror of your own consciousness. If you are able to find some faults in others, that means you also have some faults. So that's why if we are thinking, that this devotee is not doing such and such thing, so maybe we also have that mentality. We may have that mentality somewhere in the mind, and that's why we are able to see that mentality in others. So of course that's the right perception, that is the right humble attitude, that I am also having that anartha, that conditioning. That's why I have to purify myself. But the principle remains the same. We never have to judge others. We have to judge ourselves. As we have heard, judge not lest you will be judged. You know. So that is the right understanding, I think, whatever you have said. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shila Prabhupada ki jai.